10-1 in terms of shots on target. So looking to get back on track and pick up a win here in Curacao to finish out their run in qualifiers. Both of these countries meeting for the first time in this tournament that began March of 2024. And this will be the end of the road. Well, the way it works here in Concacaf World Cup qualifiers, of course, the ultimate goal for all of the countries competing was to make it to the final round, which will take place September, October, and November of this year. And the 3 group winners of those 12 teams that make it to the final round due to these qualifiers will secure a spot in the World Cup in 2026, the FIFA World Cup. Pretty cool this year that CONCACAF has an opportunity to have 8 teams in the World Cup, with Canada, Mexico, and the United States hosting, so securing a spot without having to compete in qualifiers. Well, getting ready for processions from both St. Lucia and Barbados in this CONCACAF World Cup qualifier. For Barbados, mentioned the 1-1 draw to Aruba in the last match. And St. Lucia 4-0 in the loss to Curacao. Gave up 3 goals in the second half, so we're in it in the first 45 minutes, and things really fell apart at the end. And that victory secured not just a spot for Curacao, but for Haiti as well in the final round. So the group was decided because of that result from St. Lucia a couple of days ago. I mentioned the wind certainly might be a factor today in Curacao. And both of these teams, despite the most recent result for St. Lucia, they've been in it within this group. So expecting a pretty tight match. When you look at the group standings, they're 4-5. So at the bottom of the table, an opportunity to win this match here in Curacao. This is the last day of qualifiers, handful of games, and the final round will be decided. 12 teams will compete to represent CONCACAF, the World Cup in 2026. And of those 12 teams, 3 will be decided in that final round, and then the 2 best runner-up teams will compete in the FIFA playoff tournament. So like I said, there is a chance that 8 teams represent CONCACAF in the 2026 World Cup. As we see both St. Lucia and Barbados walking out onto the pitch, we'll pause now for the playing the national anthems for both countries. Well, just heard national anthems from both countries, Barbados and St. Lucia, getting ready to kick off here in Curacao. We'll get you set on the starting 11s, introduce you to our officials, and kick off. Here's the starting 11 for St. Lucia. Bartlett back in net. He had to make 6 saves in the last game against Curacao. Player to watch out for on this team is Kanija Elva. He has contributed to all 3 goals that this St. Lucia team has scored over the course of qualifiers. That's a goal and 2 assists in this tournament. The St. Lucia team coached by Kent Hall. Our officials today: center referee Sergio Arena out of Guatemala. 2 captains will meet in the middle. For St. Lucia, it's Terrell Thomas, the captain today, and Andre Applewaite is the captain for Barbados. Neither of these teams have won a game in qualifiers. They've each earned a point against Aruba. See the gold kits for St. Lucia, or excuse me, gold kits for Barbados, blue kits for St. Lucia. Similar colors for these 2 countries. We'll take a look at the starting 11 for Barbados. Malcolm in net. This team is led by Niall Reed-Stevens. He scored 2 goals in qualifiers. Going with a 3-4-3 formation. The final meetings for Barbados and St. Lucia before we kick off in Curacao. Elva at the 9. And again, St. Lucia in the blue kits, gold kits for Barbados. And St. Lucia will start with possession. We are underway. Concacaf World Cup Qualifiers is the final game for both St. Lucia and Barbados. Elva settles and drop down here to St. Lucia. Doxili plays it wide. Moves centrally off the service, and it's headed away by the defense for Barbados. Trying to keep it in the attacking third. Boyd, 1v1, swerves right, and it's muscled away by Barbados, but quickly turned over. Solomon to Elva, and it's punched away. Malcolm gets there for Barbados. And that's a good start to this match for St. Lucia. That's going to result in a corner kick. Here's another look at this. And it's good work defensively, but then the pass is just completely off. And there's Elva with a goal and 2 assists so far in qualifiers, already making some noise. Now the first set piece of this game, not even 2 minutes into the match. Off the corner, back post. Pushed out, second ball, shot is blocked. Boyd sails that one high. And a goal kick for Malcolm and Barbados. Small. Applewaite, the captain, trying to play it out from the back. And taken by St. Lucia. Playing through the middle, it's Hoyt. Now into space, driven up the flank for Barbados. Lamar. Lifted back to him. Headed down by St. Lucia. Held up in the midfield. Elva reaching for it. Khadija Elva, the real leader, 28 years old for this St. Lucian squad. Plays professionally in Canada, Canadian Premier League for Calvary. And his first year with that club was previously playing professionally in Germany. Williams. A little bit of pressure from Baptiste for St. Lucia. Applewhite. Into the circle, push back. Small. Applewhite. Disrupted there, and then Applewhite holds his left foot. Was knocked by Arkel Jude Boyd. 22-year-old for St. Lucia. Just worked around for Barbados. Opening minutes. This St. Lucia team had a pretty decent look at net. Neblett. Played long. Applewhite. On the run, James. Bit of a heavy touch. Applewhite collects. Looking for the cross. Right into the defense for St. Lucia. Doxili. And controlled by Barbados and Mario Williams. Williams, 32 years old on this roster for Barbados. On the service, Barclay gets there. Vino Barclay, the goalkeeper for St. Lucia. 6 saves against Curacao. 4 goals went through. Plays in the Jamaican Premier League for Cavalier. And was named the best goalkeeper at the Caribbean Cup in 2024 with that Cavalier squad. Richards surveys. James trying to juke out the defender. Richards wide with it, and the ball rolls out. So a throw for St. Lucia into their own box and trying to rip that through. Barclay plays it out from the back. Doxili being pestered. He goes down in quite a bit of pain. Oh, Melvin Doxili will get the call here. He tried to kick it out and just collided with James. Got clipped on the ankle, it looks like. Myers. Poked back for Barbados. Again, this is Group C action, Concacaf World Cup qualifiers. Haiti and Curacao have already punched their tickets to the final round, so this group has been decided. This is the final game for both St. Lucia and Barbados in qualifiers. Amon draws the foul. And Kurt Frederick will take this free kick. Lofted up. Headed back through the air. Elva was the intended target, but it results in a corner kick for St. Lucia, the second one we've seen tonight. Not even 10 minutes into this match. It will be Arkel Jude Boyd on this corner kick. A player, it looks like Williams goes down. Bit of a scuffle after the fact. Our center referee, Reyna, just making sure everyone's okay. And then a warning coming as well for St. Lucia and Myers. Can see a discussion with Terrell Thomas, the captain, as well. On the in-swinger, Thomas rising for it. Drops. Back in the 18. And offside is called. Now the flag goes up against St. Lucia. Barbados working quickly. Getting the step, here's an opportunity for Barbados. James in the 18, shoots, and he's wide with it. Off his left foot, a bit of a cross as well. A tough angle for James. Frederick on the throw. Cuts it back. Boyd out of reach. And a throw in for Barbados and Applewhite. A press in front of Malcolm, who soars it up to the midfield. And this time Malcolm, the keeper, brings it in. He'll roll it out. Williams. Small. Off the stumble, Neblet plays it through the middle, and it's poked away by St. Lucia. Quick giveaway, though. No clean possession. Bartlett had to get it out quick. James was racing towards him. Off the bounce, Williams. And he's pushed down a little overzealous there. Baptiste for St. Lucia. We're 10 minutes in, no score yet between St. Lucia and Barbados. On the underlap, just a little bit out of reach. Bartlett blazes in and picks it up. The keeper for St. Lucia. Well, looks to settle things down. Barbados has looked dangerous in transition in the limited opportunities that they've had so far. Elva through the air. And Barbados does well to draw that foul. Hoyt slow to get up. Having some words with Baptiste for St. Lucia. But already his team on the move. Williams. Small. From Frederick. Ricochets around. Elva takes a knock. Play on, says Reyna. Push wide. Floating forward. Off to the middle. Wide open. Here's a chance for a shot, and it's a goal. Barbados on the board. Devontae Richards. Wide open. And it's 1-0. No frustration there from St. Lucia and Bartlett, but Richards was all alone. He had so much time. Here's another look at this contact. Then St. Lucia wants a foul, but not gonna get one. Barbados plays on, and look at all that space. Had so much time to set that one up. You don't get that often. And Richards tucks it in the corner and makes it 1-0 Barbados. Well, St. Lucia already with some work to do. Including that Curacao game, have now given up 5 unanswered goals. So time to turn things around. Plenty of time in this match. Now the most goals that they've scored in this tournament, 2. And that was in the draw against Aruba for St. Lucia. And meanwhile, Barbados has scored just 1 goal in each of their 3 games. Small. Appleweight on the throw. James headed down and then cleared slightly for St. Lucia. Appleweight will throw it in, plays for Appalachian FC, NPSL team in the United States. Swarm of defenders, and Boyd goes down. Got hip checked there by Devontae Richards, our goal scorer in this match. Another look at this. Boyd gets a step. He's a speedy player. Bartlett on the kick for St. Lucia, down a goal. All the way into the attacking third. Thomas with some momentum forward. Boyd trying to control. Splits 2 defenders, keeps on powering through. Elva now with possession. Some trouble actually getting on the ball. And of course, Barbados knows all about Elva. When you look at the stats, his name stands out, having contributed to all 3 goals. Malcolm gets tested there ever so slightly, just shuffles back and makes the grab. But clearly Barbados is not letting Elva get on the ball. And when he does, he's been pushed around a little bit. And we haven't seen Elva do much in the final third. Here he is on the ball. Amon gets undercut. We're going to see a yellow card come out. It's the first one that we've seen so far in this match. And it's given to Small for Barbados. Another look at this. Yeah, just sticks a leg out there. And tumbling down is Amon. So an early yellow card for Romario Small, defender for Barbados. That's something to keep an eye out for the rest of this game. Frederick, the 34-year-old, with his left foot, bends it around And it's untouched and out of play. Not a well-executed set piece for St. Lucia. And that was a good opportunity to at least test the goalkeeper, Malcolm. Malcolm made 3 saves against Aruba in that 1-1 draw. Helped his team earn a point. Lamar from Frederick. Myers calling for help. Aman in the circle. Finds Elva. Off his right foot. Was looking for that through ball, but it's intercepted. Taken by Williams. Neblett. Richards. And Barclay. We'll just reset now for St. Lucia. Thomas. Frederick on the spin. Myers. In his space. Boyd, if he can get there, no. Malcolm beats him to it. Rolled out to Applewhite. Frederick does well. Just boot that one back. Up the flank, Baptiste. Possession now with St. Lucia. Elva plays it wide. Boyd on the cross. I was going for a fancy play there, but it's called back. Well, Elva once again, good vision. Right idea with the cross, but just leaning in on that attempted bicycle. And call gets whistled for that. And Lamar's down for Barbados. Training staff comes out to take a look. Well, we're almost 20 minutes into this game. We've seen 1 goal in the 12th minute from Devontae Richards. Barbados with a 1-0 lead over St. Lucia. Well, Lamar looks very uncomfortable walking gingerly off the pitch. We'll see if Barbados has to make an early change or not. Barbados coached by Kent Hall. Stern John is the head coach for St. Lucia. Small. Williams. Malcolm. Elva was in front of him, so he skies it out of play. Actually, just barely kept in by Barbados. No strong pressure there from St. Lucia, but then a light pass to Boyd. Williams all over it. Williams. Baptiste turned around. You can see sometimes on these passes, they're not necessarily carrying the way that they should with the power that players are putting on. That's because the wind is so strong. It's certainly affecting this game a little bit. And Lamar able to continue running back on the pitch here in Curacao. Malcolm, pass back to him. Calls in front, just looming. Thomas. Off the swing. Now for St. Lucia. Solomon. Joshua Solomon, 25 years old. He's a semi-pro player out of St. Lucia. Taman, who's 20. Plays Tier 1 in Bosnia. Thomas. Slides that one wide. Baptiste. Plays college soccer at NC State in the United States. Boyd. Couldn't control. Solomon. Elva. Myers. Return to Elva. Thomas. The center back. Takes his space to Frederick. And the flag goes up offside against St. Lucia the second time. They've been called for that today. Small. Boyd. Tackled back. Boyd stretching for it. Surges forward. 2 defenders around. Doesn't matter. Past 3 defenders, Boyd. Into space, an opportunity for Myers. Myers got stepped on, and a free kick is coming for St. Lucia. Well, this was created by Boyd, who got separation and then desperation from the defense for Barbados. And the last time we saw a close-range free kick, St. Lucia did not execute well. Can they change that on this second opportunity? It does look like it will be Frederick again standing over the ball. Boyd is there as well. St. Lucia with an opportunity to equalize in this game, just over 25 minutes in. Frederick on the delivery with his left foot straight to goal. And it's just over the crossbar. Well, everyone ready on that wall, and it just skims over. Neblett to Frederick. Looking for Boyd, who falls down in some pain. James. Switching the point of attack for Barbados. Neblet looking to combine. On the interception for Myers. St. Lucia possession now. Swerving Amon. Duxilly. Now Thomas. Played his youth career at Arsenal, 29 years old, Thomas. Off the cross, back pose. Boyd wasn't quite there yet. A player down for St. Lucia in the fray. It's Baptiste. Seems like it's an eye issue. Is a corner kick for St. Lucia. Bent towards the back post and deflected. Looking for a second ball, Elva. He's stuck in the corner and just shades that one out of play. Should be a throw-in for St. Lucia. Frederick will take it. From Frederick, into the 6, headed down by the defense for Barbados and then cleared out. It's Lamar on the clearance. Barclay, the keeper for St. Lucia. Drops to Barbados. Neblet. Reed Stephen, who we haven't said his name much in this game, but has scored 2 goals for Barbados. Well, I'm sure they're happy that they're already up a goal without him being too involved in this match. Reed Stevens plays in the United States for South Georgia Tormenta USL League 1 team. Previously played for Appalachian FC, where Applewhite plays now in the NPSL. Richards muscles it away. Charges forwards, Devontae Richards into the 18 now. Barbados, left-footed shot is wide. It's a good chance and a good build for Barbados, but they don't convert. And this just comes from pure aggression. Richards takes off and smartly gives it to Reed Stevens, who I mentioned hadn't been quite involved in this one. Well, he gets his first shot in this game, and he's off target. This Barbados team has proven they don't need much possession time in order to score goals. We're half an hour in. Devontae Richards scored in the 12th minute for Barbados, and that's where we sit. A little less than 15 minutes to go in this first half. Concacaf Qualifiers. It's the road to the FIFA World Cup in 2026. And Haiti and Curacao have already punched their tickets in this group. So this is the final game for both of these countries. From Frederick on the set piece. And a heavy touch. Cleared by Barbados. Looking to transition. Frederick, head on a swivel. James looms. Barclay moves back and controls with his feet. Myers on the swing to Solomon. Boyd went out. James Splitting two defenders. Has it tapped away. Elva. And slowed here for St. Lucia, trying to break down this Barbados team defensively. Slip to Myers. And cut off by Applewhite. Solomon. Through the air. Baptiste in the corner. I couldn't get the edge on Williams. Williams. Oh, Duxilly trying to tackle that away. And James wouldn't allow it. Small. Boyd for St. Lucia. Thomas. Frederick. Call. And a well-timed tackle there for Barbados. Was picking up some speed for Call. Clear hand in the back. Hoyt gets pushed by Myers. Well, you could see Hoyt taking some issue with Myers after the fact. James, clean swipe. Come on. Given away, St. Lucia a little discombobulated on that moment. Lamar. On the wing, off across, Amon breaks it up. Myers. Well, Myers again plays for Harbor View FC in the Jamaican Premier League. About 10 minutes to go in this first half. Elva. Thomas skips it to Frederick. Well, St. Lucia trying to be patient here. Myers slips it through to Baptiste. Off to Solomon. Boyd holds it up, tries to square, and it's taken back by Barbados. Barbados on the quick build. Getting numbers in the 18. Reed Stevens. Frederick denies. And the other way for St. Lucia. Call. Springing forward. Already in the box. Call takes a shot and he's blocked. Well, Call showing off his speed. And he just breezes past the defense here. And it's Williams, actually, as he puts a defender on skates, who blocks it with his back, because sliding down was Brathwaite for Barbados. It does result in a corner kick for St. Lucia. Can they equalize before the break? Looks like the training staff's going to have to come out to take a look at player for Barbados who's down. It looks like it's Lamar. It is. He's already had to step off the pitch for a decent amount of time, and it looks like they're looking at that same ankle. Well, Lamar very frustrated as he's helped off. And you wonder if this will force Hall's hand to make a change now that Lamar's been down for the second time in this game. Now St. Lucia just focused on this corner kick, although Boyd lost his shoe. Boyd on the in-swinger, far post. Elva heads it across the face of the goal, drops through, and no one gets a shot off. In transition now instead for Barbados. Charging forward is Richards. He surges up the pitch, surveys, looking for options. Richard shoots, it's a light one. Blocked by the defense and Myers. Boyd tumbles down. He wants a call for St. Lucia, won't get one. It's Richards again. Dribbles centrally, shoots, and is off the mark. And outside the box, Savante Richards was searching for a brace in this first half. Another look at this shot with his left foot. And it just bounces past Bartlett. Oh, some contact in the 18. Well, another look at this moment. Looks like that should be a penalty here. Well, a sub being made for Barbados. Lamar is officially going to have to come out of this game, and Carl Hinkson will come in. This should be a penalty, by the way, for St. Lucia. We'll see this again. Well, originally he was clipped. This looks like just barely outside the 18, so not a penalty, just a free kick, but very, very close. So Malcolm will get ready because after some confusion, this was called a penalty. It will be Elva to take this for St. Lucia, an opportunity to tie this game up. Elva has a goal and 2 assists in the previous 3 games for St. Lucia. Elva hits. We're level. St. Lucia on the board. And it's 1-1 now. Oh, off the penalty. Who else but Kanija Elva? And the placement is strong. And it's powerful in the corner. Malcolm guessed the other way. And Elva has now contributed to 4 goals, all 4 goals for St. Lucia in this qualifying tournament. Did look like a card came out. Well, we restart with just a couple minutes to go. Reed Stevens. Nothing much there. Well, some new life for this St. Lucia team after that penalty. Now, Richards was the first to score. Then a foul that looked like it was right at the edge of the 18. It was hard to tell if it was truly in the box or not, but a tight call for Reina, our center referee. Now a cross from the new addition, Hinkson. Either way, it was called a penalty, and Elva steps up to the spot and makes the shot. On the throw for Barbados. And no clear possession. Boyd skying in from Small. Well, Applewhite on the header. And a throw for Hoyt. 2 minutes of stoppage time in this first half between St. Lucia and Barbados. Hoyt slots it through. James. Applewhite. Small. Keeps it with Barbados. Richards gets the edge and is cut off. Thomas does well defensively. Richards has been a nuisance when he gets on the ball for Barbados. Served up from Small. Bartlett, no problem. Time for a final push maybe for St. Lucia with about a minute to go in this first half. Hinkson. James, just a little bit off with that cut. Solomon. Elva, through the air off his body. Applewhite spins around. Elva still fighting for it. Baptiste for St. Lucia. Well, final moments of this first half. Solomon. Boyd. And Solomon couldn't get there. That's going to take us to the end of the first half. We've played 45 minutes, and we've seen a goal for each side. St. Lucia and Barbados even at 1 apiece. Devontae Richards in the 12th minute for Barbados, and then a penalty made by Elva for St. Lucia, and that's where we sit. We'll take a break, and we'll come back with highlights from this first half after this here in Concacaf World Cup Qualifiers. Let's take a look at the highlights from this one, Concacaf World Cup Qualifiers. This is Barbados and St. Lucia in Group C action. And some trouble clearing early for Barbados, and Elva was streaking in. It resulted in a corner. St. Lucia, again, Boyd just ripped off the ball. Applewhite does well defensively, but it's just a costly giveaway, and Elva, the #1 target on this team for St. Lucia, nearly scores. Elva is knocked there, and just play on, says our center referee, Reina. A little juke from Richards, or excuse me, a little juke from Reed Stevens, and Richards benefits from being in just complete space. He's wide open. Plenty of time to set this one up. Moves it to his left, and that was in the 12th minute. So Barbados takes a 1-0 lead in this game. This one overshot on a set-piece opportunity for Frederick and this St. Lucia squad, searching for the equalizer. Richards on the takeaway, drives forward, plays it to Reed Stevens. Reed Stevens off his left foot, just a little bit wide on that look. He already has 2 goals over the course of qualifiers, but Richards has been dangerous when he's been on the ball for Barbados. Then the other way for St. Lucia. And a costly foul. It's Brotwaite who just sticks a leg out there. And Elva, who else is going to step up from the spot and make the penalty? That would equalize and lead us to the 1-1 scoreline we now have after 45 minutes of play. Barbados and St. Lucia. The stats from this one so far on this windy night in Curacao. Fairly even in this game. 6 shots for St. Lucia, 4 for Barbados, and just 3 shots on target combined, but we have seen 4 corners for St. Lucia and none for Barbados. That leads to a very interesting second half. We'll take a break and we'll come back for the start of the second between St. Lucia and Barbados. Welcome back to Curacao, ready to start this second half. St. Lucia and Barbados even at 1 apiece after 45 minutes of play. It's a Concacaf World Cup qualifiers. It's a final game for both of these teams. Subs coming in, we'll see a sub for St. Lucia. Henville enters this game, and then another change for Barbados. It looks like Devontae Richards exits, the goal scorer in this game for Barbados, and Amani Leacock comes in. Leacock has scored in this tournament. It's a second sub used by Barbados. They had to make a change in the first half because Catlin Lamar went down with an apparent injury, so Hinkson replaced him. And it was Richards to score first for Barbados in the 12th minute, and then it took until the 42nd minute for St. Lucia to find the equalizer. It was on a penalty just driven forward, and Elva stepped up to finish the job. Again, I'm Maura Sheridan. Thank you so much for joining me here as we get ready to start the second half. And it's Barbados who starts with possession, and we're underway. Amani Leacock scored a goal against Aruba in that draw. Comes in off the bench, plays for Waterhouse FC in Jamaica. And Henville, 28 years old, the replacement for St. Lucia. Barbados on the move, up the pitch. Reed Stevens twisted down and fouled. It's going to result in a free kick in a threatening area for Barbados. And Reed Stevens yet again involved. Well, night is upon us here in Curacao. Started out with a little bit of daylight, but the sun has gone down. This evening game, Group C, and the final game for both Barbados and St. Lucia as Haiti and Curacao will represent in the final round of Concacaf Qualifiers. Ultimate goal to make the FIFA World Cup in 2026. Reed Stevens stands over the ball. So does James. Bartlett directing his team in net for St. Lucia. Reed Stevens with his left foot, and it's right into that wall. Wanting to transition, Boyd for St. Lucia. Barbados. Hinkson. Reed Stevens trying to get past Frederick off the cross. Bartlett dives for it, and it's lifted out. It will be a corner kick for Barbados. Off the corner near post, broken up, second chance, no. That's a good look for Leacock, the substitute. But he just pushes that wide. Well, here's the replay. He has time to really set it up, and he tries to go top shelf using his right foot. Boyd. Baptiste on the cross. It's behind the net for St. Lucia. Williams. Barbados has not scored more than 1 goal in qualifiers so far. Elva jumps on it. Just outside the 18 for St. Lucia. Pushed into space, Boyd flicks it, back post header, powerful, but not on target. That was a good look for St. Lucia. Frederick. Barclay. We're trying to keep this momentum going. Instead, it's Leacock for Barbados. Stonewalled there by the defense for St. Lucia. Call. Swerving through off the cross from Hoyt. And it's blocked down. Elva jumps for it. And return to Barbados. Well, a frantic stretch there for both teams. Thomas is fouled. Frederick. And a throw in for St. Lucia in the final third. Well, Frederick will take this just a couple minutes into the second half. Barbados in St. Lucia. Ricochets around. Elva pokes it just outside the 18 and a wayward shot. The wind has been a factor in this game. Aman way off with that look. Bends it outside. A smart play by Elva just to lay it towards the top of the 18. Thomas on the throw. Malcolm. Boyd. Picks up some speed up the flank. It's going the other way. That called against Boyd. He steps on Small. Baptiste reels it in. Finds Elva, who's now holding his face. Elva holding his chin right now. And St. Lucia was playing the advantage. Still looks uncomfortable. Well, St. Lucia, a free kick. Can they take the lead here? Haven't led in this game. Amon Frederick, bull stand over the ball. Frederick, right into that wall. And so it bounces to him, and he'll just throw it in. Boyd rising for it, drops down, very lightly cleared. Leacock. Well, it's tackled away. Leacock down in the circle. Frederick. Oh, Boyd readies on this corner kick for St. Lucia. Does feel like they've had more momentum in this second half than Barbados. Can they capitalize? They've had the advantage in set pieces, haven't executed particularly well in this game. Boyd, middle of the 6. Drops down for Henville. And a through ball. Baptiste. Whips it across, header, Elva, he's just off with it. Well, a brave play there. Elva skies in, and that's the kind of ball you want. And this is just keeping it in the final third off of this set piece. Baptiste just lofts it up, and Elva maybe mistimes that just a hair. But well done for St. Lucia. In transition, though, the other way, Barbados working quickly. And it's just a goal kick. Well, still 1-1, Barbados and St. Lucia. Barclay hesitates on that one, and then he dives on it. James was blazing in. That was almost a mishap for St. Lucia. Elva, lovely ball ahead. Call, collides. Just a goal kick for Malcolm. Thomas plays it long. Elva in that aerial duel. Elva. 3 defenders around. Loses it to Hoyt. Reed Stevens. And it's tapped out of play. Looks like a corner kick for Barbados. Off of Frederick. Reed Stevens on that far post and leaping for it. Barclay showing his hops. On the rollout to Henville. pushing the pace. Call. Off his right foot. Plays it to the right side. Overlapping run, cross. It was going out of play anyway. Well, here's that run. Oh, you can see the body language for St. Lucia. They want this one bad. Both of these teams looking to exit qualifiers on a high note with 3 points. Thomas Barclay. Leacock's looming. And the keeper, no choice but to kind of just get that ball out quickly. Well, luckily, it's off of Barbados. Half an hour to go, St. Lucia and Barbados. Baptiste commits a foul. Hoyt. Small. Boyd. Dribbles into the 18. He goes down. And we have a foul just outside. Nearly a penalty. We'll see this again. Boyd. He gets stepped on from behind. That's the right call for it to just be outside. But a card comes out. It did appear that we just had a game-changing moment. So a red card shown to Romario Small, and that's because it was his second yellow. So he got a yellow in the first half, and then, of course, playing with fire to continue on a yellow in the second, and he picks up his second one, so he's out of the game. And Small just got beat there by Boyd, steps on the winger for St. Lucia. And now, great spot for a set piece, first of all, for St. Lucia, and up a man for the remainder of this game in a 1-1 match. Frederick trying to slot that one through low. It does get through to Malcolm and results in a corner kick. Now Malcolm blocks. And I think St. Lucia has looked the stronger side in the second half to begin with, and now up a player. We'll see how they handle it. Frederick, header, and it's out into Barbados. Trying to transition, didn't have numbers there. Frederick. From Thomas. The pressure is on St. Lucia, though. Up a man. Boyd. Thomas. Frederick. Elva. That's the lone goal on a penalty. And just couldn't get there in time. Lester and John telling St. Lucia to just continue to press. Aman. Frederick. Off his left foot, bends out around, and it drops to Malcolm. Now the keeper corrals it in. Henville. Elva. Call. Denied there by Barbados. Reed Stevens. Showing off his speed. Nearly past Frederick. Still on the ball. On the cross to the opposite side. And a shot put on that is blocked by Barclay. And then Applewhite with the opportunity. And we'll see this just comes from Reed Stevens. Is pushing off, playing through the contact. And good vision there to see that run coming from the left side from Applewhite. And you got to think that the chances will be few and far between for Barbados, now down a player for the remainder of this game. Well, it probably has to be a better shot than it was from Applewhite. Call. Elva. Heavy touch. Leacock. Reed Stevens. Moves it to his left. Tried to put some texture on that one, but was wide. Oh, Barbados, suddenly things have opened up with 2 good looks in a row. Boyd. Elva. Call. Cross. Cut off. Malcolm. Leacock. Fancy footwork, rips his shot, and he's well wide. Well, things have opened up in this game since we saw that red card given to Romario Small. St. Lucia pushing up, going for goal number 2. It's leaving them a little bit exposed on the counter. Scooped up by Malcolm. He'll take his time on this one. Possession slightly in St. Lucia's favor. It was fairly even at halftime. Boyd. Amon. Tenville, who's the only sub that St. Lucia has made so far in this game, as we approach about 20 minutes to go. Williams, intercepted. Well, here comes a change in this game. Sub coming in for Barbados. Hoyt out. Jalen Gilks is in. And another one for Barbados as well. James comes out. Ricardo Morris comes in. So 4 subs used for Barbados and just 1 for St. Lucia, who's up a player in this game after a red card against Small. It's been 1-1 since halftime, since the 42nd minute, in which Elva scored a penalty for St. Lucia. Amon, Elva. Elva calling for it. Oh, that was read nicely by the defense. He still gets around. Elva, call, shoots, slightly blocked. Played out, Reed Stevens off his body. And a high kick against Amon and St. Lucia. A yellow card coming out. No, still anyone's game. St. Lucia, Barbados. Concacaf qualifiers for the World Cup. These 2 teams will not be in the 2026 World Cup. Haiti and Curacao will represent this group in the final round. Takes place, it begins in September over the course of the fall. And 12 teams will be a part of that final round. And of that, 3 will earn direct qualification for the World Cup in 2026. The United States, Mexico, and Canada don't have to compete because they're the host nations, so they are automatically in the World Cup in 2026. No, Baptiste is getting stretched out. Immediately pulled up. It's a humid night in Curacao. Well, the training staff working on that leg for Baptiste gives an opportunity for both of these teams to talk things over, how they're going to proceed for the rest of this game. Obviously, you would favor St. Lucia. Up a player in this match. It appears Aaron Richard is getting ready to enter this game. Oh, here's that change. Baptiste, who was just getting worked on, They're not going to risk it. He'll come out. And in comes Aaron Richard. Richard played his college soccer stateside, University of South Carolina, Aiken. Enters as the second sub used by St. Lucia. Through the air, Reed Stevens takes off. And he kind of pulls up awkwardly. Holding his left leg. 15 minutes to go. Boyd slows. Didn't have numbers there for St. Lucia. Applewhite intercepts. Looking for Reed Stevens. It bounces too. Reed Stevens on the ball against Frederick off his left foot. And it hit off the... Ooh, it didn't. Just sailed out of play for Reed Stevens. Thought it took a deflection, but instead it's a goal kick. Reed Stevens. Henville now for St. Lucia. Amon. From Doxilly. Elva. Thomas. Well, some extracurriculars there, and a warning coming for Richard, who just entered this game. His extra contact against Williams. They had fouled him prior. Williams plays it long here for Barbados. And it drops to Thomas. Good chance there. Boyd goes down, crashing in. And Williams looks very uncomfortable. We'll see this again. Sliding forward to Boyd. And stumbling as well. But making the ultimate stop was Brathwaite. Boyd. I'm trying to get open. Flicks it. Wide. Cross in. Top of the box. No shot for call yet. It took too much time there. Amon. Again, St. Lucia is up a player in this game. Elva. Well, he's pushed off the ball. Shoved there by Hinkson. St. Lucia making a change. Darren Donay, or excuse me, Trent Alexander in the game. Boyd's out. Good shift for Boyd. He's been threatening on that right side tonight. With 10 minutes to go, St. Lucia just hoping there's a new spark off the bench to walk away with 3 points. Neither of these teams have won in qualifiers. Another change, Shaquan Nelson. And Amon's out. Frederick off his left foot. Missed by Malcolm. Blocked down 2 times by the defense for Barbados. That is point blank. Ricardo Morris. I think it knocked the wind out of him for a second. But he made 2 stops. This ball was just awkward enough that Malcolm couldn't totally get there. And it causes some chaos, but standing strong, Morris. Committed there. 2 blocks in a row. Unbelievable defense there for Barbados. And frustrating for St. Lucia. It's the keeper, Malcolm, who's down right now. Helped up by his defender, Williams. Oh, Malcolm taking his time. And there's some confusion because it looks like Thomas has had his jersey sliced. So they're going to have to get him a new one. And now on the other end, Barclet's down for St. Lucia. The keeper. I'm not even sure how that happened, but it was completely cut on the back, his kit. Well, there's a good look at it. He should keep it because it's hilarious, but I don't really know what they're going to do here because they're going to have to get him a new one. Presumably, it would have to be another number 4. I don't think he could change numbers. And Barclet's still getting worked on. We've seen 2 goals in this game, both in the first half. Here's a look at the first one. And it starts through the middle. Reed Stevens on the ball. Makes a little move. Everyone's drawn in towards him. Who's wide open, Richards? He benefits off of this. He's truly in space. Crashing in. Elva wanted the call there, didn't get one. And everyone was ball watching. They were so worried about Reed Stevens that Barbados was able to get an easy goal. Now this in transition, just undercut. And Elva steps up from the spot, and St. Lucia would even the score in the 42nd minute, so right before the halftime break. And that's where we sit right now. We haven't seen a goal in the second half. We have seen a red card, but not a goal. Red card against Barbados and Romario Small, and St. Lucia has been unable to take the lead since then. Leacock. Still on the ball. Call. Elva. Unable to get there. And he rips down the defender in frustration. Oh, Williams is still down. There's some hand fighting there. And a sub coming in for Barbados. Shamari Harewood in. Neblett will come out. Call. Splits 2 defenders. Drives into the 18. Gets taken down. It's a penalty. St. Lucia with an opportunity to take the lead. And it comes from Keegan Call. Aggressive. Well, Call just springs forward. He does so well, too, because he shifts his body, knowing that a defender's behind him, and he gets Hinkson to step on him. Call himself, though, is in quite a bit of pain, but this is an opportunity for a late lead. Okay, here comes Thomas. So I guess he did switch his kit. He's wearing a new number, 22. And I think that is what Reina is going to speak to the rest of the officiating crew, because usually you're not allowed to switch numbers like this. But Thomas is going to come in. Still donning the captain's armband. This is a penalty for St. Lucia, but Call is down in the 18. No, Call walks off. And it appears that Elva will take his second penalty of this game. Malcolm readies a net. This has been a long delay, though, so kind of like icing the penalty kick here. Elva has contributed to every goal in qualifiers for St. Lucia. Steps up, hesitates, saves, second chance, yes! Well, the second time's the charm for Elva. And it's 2-1. St. Lucia with a late lead. Well, Malcolm makes the stop initially, and this is why it's so hard for goalkeepers, because he does the most difficult thing, which is deny this. And with these hesitation, I don't know how goalkeepers stop it at any point, but hesitates there, and it's actually not taken well, that first penalty. It's right into Malcolm, who commits, but off the rebound, Elva finishes the job. In the 90th minute, Elva yet again coming up big for St. Lucia. He's now contributed to 5 goals, all 5 goals in qualifiers for St. Lucia. Will call, pounces on it again. And draws yet another foul, not a penalty, but just another foul. We're into stoppage time. 6 minutes given, about 4.5 left. Hamilil Charlie will come in this game for St. Lucia. Well, Call's just had a burst of energy in the last 5-ish minutes. He's the one that caused the foul and caused the penalty to be given to St. Lucia. And then there he earns a free kick in a dangerous spot. Looks like Hingson's going to get a yellow card. Frederick, they're just going to possess. Kill the clock here. Looks like Call will be taken out. That's a sub made for St. Lucia. And St. Lucia now 2 unanswered penalty goals in this game. Up a player, looking at 3 points to end their trip here to the qualifiers. Williams is down. Training staff's gonna come out for Barbados with about 3 minutes to go. And he's just limping off the pitch, holding the back of his leg. Solomon. No deflating second half for Barbados. That red card against Small, then giving up a second penalty. It did very well defensively until that 90th minute. We're able to hang on, and then it was Call who gets the penalty call. And Elva steps up from the spot and ultimately has the penalty saved, but off the rebound is able to tally. Looks like Morris just throws his hand back and it hits Nelson. A yellow card to Morris. Short corner for St. Lucia. About a minute to go. But Elva's just going to head to that corner. And possess now for St. Lucia. Nearly muscled away. Barbados, one good push, could walk away with a point here. Time is running out. A corner kick for St. Lucia. Nelson will take it. And he just taps it to Elva. And there's a final whistle. A 2-1 victory for St. Lucia over Barbados in Concacaf Qualifiers. It concludes a run for both of these countries, but 2 penalty goals seal the deal for St. Lucia, both from Elva. Let's take a look at the highlights from this one. Barbados and St. Lucia, Concacaf qualifiers for the World Cup. Both of these teams know they're out of it, but looking to finish on a strong note. This is the opening minute of the game off the service. Elva almost with a look for St. Lucia. Then come crashing in. There's some contact there, but play on in the midfield. Ends up with Niall Reed-Stevens. He floats in centrally, and everybody's ball watching. Who's wide open? It's Devontae Richards. Richards would finish the job. There's again another look at that contact. Reed-Stevens, Richards with his left foot had plenty of time, too much time, and that would make it 1-0 Barbados in the 12th minute of play. But in the 42nd minute, penalty earned and scored. Elva, no issues there. The leader for this St. Lucia team with the equalizer. Out wide, whipped in cross, back post, Elva for St. Lucia in the second half. And another good opportunity, a much stronger second half for St. Lucia, I would say, than the first. And Barbados having some trouble with Elva yet again. Barbados, though, on the swing. And this is when kind of the two strongest players for each side really took over, Reed-Stevens and Elva. Reed-Stevens just wide with his shot in transition. And moves it centrally off his left and nearly curls that one in. Boyd goes to work, and then behind him crashing in is Small. Small was already on a yellow card from the first half. He gets his second yellow, and he's out of this game. So for the remainder of the second half, St. Lucia up a man. 2 stops in a row defensively for Morris. He does so well here, the second half sub. And for a while, it looked like this Barbados team was going to stay strong and walk away with a point. However, call. Full speed ahead, gets the penalty call, and Elva steps up from the spot. He misses it the first time. It's saved by Malcolm, but the second chance off the rebound, he finishes the job. And now 2 penalty goals for Elva in this one. In the 90th minute, he wins it for St. Lucia over Barbados. Final stats for you in this one. St. Lucia definitely with the advantage, especially after that red card. 17 shots, 7 shots on target, and 7 corners earned in this game. 2-1 the final, St. Lucia over Barbados. And again, that concludes Concacaf qualifiers for both of these countries. A well-played game, a hard-fought game, ends in a 2-1 victory for St. Lucia over Barbados. That's going to do it from myself, Maura Sheridan, from our entire crew, saying so long from Curacao. Have a fantastic night, everyone.